chose to live here because this is where they worked or where their family had come from.
When I was a kid, this was the place that you went to die.
Welcome to So Highlands, a new provocative podcast from an old school local, Nicole Smith, and self-confessed transplant, Rachael Oakes Ash. It's the podcast that says what we're all thinking, because regional living comes with its own conversation. Recorded on the land of the Gundungara people.
Okay, and welcome to our next episode. I'm Nicole Smith, and just reminding you, the opinions I express here are my personal opinions, not those of Wingecarribee Shire Council.
And that's because you are a councillor. I'd like to remind everyone that my opinions are everyone's.
You wish.
I wish. We're talking about fakers, makers and shakers and diving deep into the shady history of the Southern Highlands on this episode and the infamous residents, despite the shiny press release of Hamptons lifestyle living that we are constantly told that we all live on a daily basis.
Do you not? Do you not?
Well, apparently, according to real estates, we all do. Hey, why has the region attracted so many charlatans? Is it us? Is it them? From bad business decisions to open grifting, Ponzi schemes. Have you been involved in a Ponzi scheme? And more. I mean, really, I guess we have to start with the identity of the Highlands. Really, what is it about the Highlands that attracts these people, do you think, Nicole?
Well, I think the Highlands has a long history of really appearing to be, well, and being a very beautiful place to live. And it's always attracted, I think, people who really come here because it's a beautiful life. I think once upon a time in the 1800s, it reminded people of England. Well, still does, probably. And so people would move here to have one's country house. And I think that sort of shiny, very pleasant exterior and reputation has continued.
But it's a facade, though, really, isn't it? Because you look at Sydney. Sydney's an absolutely stunning city. It's gorgeous. It's glorious. Everyone around the world goes, oh, my God, my city of Sydney. But scratch below the surface, there's really not that much there because the city relies on its beauty. Yeah. And when the beauty disappears, you've then got to find some substance. Now, if your region relies on the idea or a press release that you are the landed gentry, then when the landed gentry disappear, which obviously they have over the past number of decades or hundreds of years, what's left? So
Pitt Street farmers.
Oh, I love Pitt Street farmers. And they're alpacas. Alpaca, a.k.a. tax deduction, tax write-off, right? But the Pitt Street farmers really came down here in the 70s, didn't they? 70s and 80s or before then?
Yeah. Look, I think there'd been a long history of people like the Governor of New South Wales had his country residence here at Hillview, and we can talk about Hillview later on.
Oh, yes, we can.
Even where I live, you know, Sir Edmund Barton, Australia's first Prime Minister, he moved here for a while for health reasons for his son.
Okay.
So I think that there's that old history, and it just gradually evolved. But you used to have... It was when I was a kid, it was a farming area, right as well. Yeah. But you still had very wealthy people who lived here or had a country house here. Yeah. And then you had people who were tradies, working class people who chose to live here because this is where they worked or where their family had come from.
When I was a kid, this was the place that you went to die. It was where everyone retired to, right? Everyone retired down here.
We do, well, and population-wise, I have to say, we do have an older population in the Highlands.
We do, but it's changing. Surely it's changing. I'd like to see the next census as to how that's changing. And back in was it the 70s when you were talking before about the tradies and the retailers and the people that worked in the town versus the people that didn't work in the town that lived in another suburb called Burrowtoo. And if you've ever watched Four Corners Bradstow, Nicole put me onto this yesterday. It's freaking awesome. It's gold, absolute gold.
Wow. And we should give some history on that. It's quite amazing because when I was at uni, I was studying sociology and we were studying this text. I think the subject we were doing was social inequality, and it was a thesis written on this place called Bradstow. And I remember reading it and going, this feels really familiar. Like the people, it was based on a real town in New South Wales, and it felt very familiar. And I asked my lecturer, is this based on a real place? And he's like, yeah. And I said, where is it? It's like, it's this town, you might know it. It's called Barrel. And I was like, oh my God. So, and there is, as you said, there's a Four Corners episode, you can Google it, which is on this place. They call it Bradstow, but it's Barrel. And that is such a fascinating window into what the Highlands was like. And you can see they interview people from the Murchie family who lived in Victoria Street in Barrel, which is now all gentrified, but was very working class then, through to the old chaps who were at Royal Barrel.
Oh, the white on white on white. Yeah, those guys, they were hilarious. They were so funny. Everything's comparable. You just need to hang out with comparable people. And they had very British accents, even though they probably never even made it to the motherland.
But I think,
and a lot of talk about Burradoo as well.
And that's it. And, you know, that whole thing of Burradoo and Burradone, you know, did you live on the right side of the main road? But I thought that it was such an interesting insight. And, of course, it's interesting to me because it talks about council at the time too, which was all men.
Aldermen they were.
Yeah, and they were all men.
Yeah. Oh, they were all men.
Of course. And I think, but it was very interesting where the power lay in this society too and this town.
Well, and what I found interesting was the guy that actually wrote this thesis was asked in the Four Corners episode, is this a classic dissection of an Australian country town? And he was like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's actually not. It's a classic dissection of this particular town, probably because it's so close to Sydney. A lot of retired businessmen would come down here. As you said before, politicians. It did have this certain ilk of person, but the people in Old Barrel at the time, when you look at all the photos of the footage of the houses, you're like, oh, I know that house. That house is gorgeous now. It's absolutely stunning. It's worth about $5 million. Back then it was like £5,000 or something, right? And the divide between those in the town and those on the outskirts of the town being Burradoo. And one guy goes, oh, no, I don't live in Burradoo. I'm up on the Jib. I'm like, oh, yeah, here you go. With Mike Cannon-Brooks. Managed to drop his name in really quickly, didn't I? God. Speaking of which, famous faces, the Highlands has always attracted many famous names.
And name droppers.
And name dropping, yeah. It's just because I want him to buy my house. Anyway.
It's quite a long way.
Sure, we're on the same street. Okay, vastly different ends of the same street, but there you go. But there are a lot of famous people that have always been drawn to here. People like, I guess John Hewson was here for a while. Is he still here? Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of politicians or former politicians.
Yeah. Tax dodging, really. That's probably the whole thing, isn't it? I don't know. Let's not go there. These are not the opinions of me. Anyway. Well, Ben Quilty, lots of artists. Ben Quilty, Zoe Young.
John Olsen
lived here for a long time.
Tim Storia, whole range of people.
Yeah, Jimmy Barnes.
Yeah, so musicians as well.
Nicole Kidman.
John Waters.
Let's just keep going. Who else have we got? Sam Armitage.
Yeah.
Michelle Bridges.
I think she might have
I think she was trying to sell. Took her a while. Yep. Kate Ritchie, I saw her the other day outside the South store. Managed to drop that in there too. But I did see Kate Ritchie and I thought, oh my God, what's she doing here?
I hope they somehow support you.
Yeah. No, they do. I'm basically dressed in everything from them. Anyway, so, and so the area has attracted a lot of wealth. And then there are the quieter achievers, the authors, the best-selling authors that are down here, the PR agents that have moved down here. There is a particular dermatologist doctor in Sydney who is very famous, who's just moved to Mittagong with an equestrian area. And, of course, there's also the equestrians and the Olympians.
Oh, definitely. And I think the interesting thing about that is I think you've got a few things going on. I think you have people who move here for the life to escape the city. It's still close enough that you can do meaningful work or be connected. And I think you have those people, you touched on it, the ones who do want to go under the radar.
Yeah.
You know, so like yourself, like my husband, go to Welby Nursery. People think that you work there.
Yes, they do. They come up because I never brush my hair and I'm always there. And they come up and they ask me questions. They're like, will this thrive in the sun? I'm like, not in my sun. Nothing thrives in my sun.
But I think the more comfortable you are here, I always have a thing that you can tell the people who really made it or who are something because they end up looking like slightly homeless.
Oh, my God. When Middle Ground was open in Bowral back before COVID, and I remember sitting there going, who are those two homeless men? And it was Ben Quilty and Mike Adam Brooks.
But that's it. Because you can. You don't need to prove.
You know.
However.
Yes, go for it.
However.
Are you going to talk about the mums in the newspaper?
The swingers.
Yeah, the swinging mums. Yeah, yeah.
No.
Yep.
No, not going to talk about them.
Yep.
However, I think it then attracts people who see that, hear these stories, get a sense of who lives here or what they think the Highlands is. And I think, well, I know that it attracts people who move here to reinvent themselves or to get a bit, who want the appearance of that
I
thing.
refer to them as the LinkedIn people because, and it's almost like when you look at LinkedIn and somebody looks really good on paper.
Yeah.
And basically LinkedIn is a giant press release of your life, right? You're not going to say, yeah, I got fired from that role or got sacked from that one or I was really crap at that one.
Yeah.
But nobody seems to ring anyone anymore to find out the background on the person that they're employing. They just go, oh my God, look, they work for this brand, this brand, this brand. So I kind of think sometimes maybe we need to have background checks on everybody that wants to move here because there has been a few.
Do you want me to introduce that at council?
Oh, yes, please. That'd be great. Yes, background
that'd be
checks
nice.
for all
Actually
prospective
did
residents.
have someone suggest something
Did you?
along those lines.
God, can you imagine? It's just so
We
awful.
won't be doing that.
No,
Okay.
don't do that. Don't do that. Although, well, we'll get to that in a sec. But because I feel, though, there is a naivety because smaller towns or regional towns, if they're very welcoming, which I find the Southern Highlands to be, there can be a little naivety around these shiny, happy people that arrive out of nowhere that basically give you their LinkedIn profile, really. I mean, they're not actually giving you the LinkedIn profile, but you know what I mean. And then we get stars in our eyes, and then next thing you know, you've been taken in for a Ponzi scheme, or you've suddenly, And we'll talk about those people in a second.
Well, personally, I think I've been a magnet for a number of those people, and I think
you must show real naivety. Go on,
oh, you're so great. I think, though, it is on that thing of because, and particularly because I'd moved away and moved back. And so if I'd meet people who were new, I feel a responsibility to be welcoming, to connect people, to go, right, come and meet this other person. And you want to take people for, if they're telling you this stuff, you want to believe it. And I think with a bit of age and a bit of experience and having been burnt, you know what? Gut instinct.
Gut instinct. Because I was going to say, there's this one thing of intuitive when someone walks in and the hair on the back of your neck goes up and you're like, bad juju. But you're like, oh, new person, must be nice, must be kind, must give them benefit of the doubt. And always a few months later, you're like, oh, yeah, hair, back, neck, she'll listen to it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But, I totally get it. And there's been quite a few people. I mean, the Highlands does have a bit of a history of some crime. Can we mention Ivan Milat?
Well, he didn't live here.
Oh, but his dead bodies were found here.
There is that.
There is that.
There is that part.
Okay.
There is that part.
And also, so we're a dumping ground. Oh, shit, that's so insensitive of me. That's horrible. That's terrible.
Don't go there.
I'm so sorry. That's not my opinion. That's the opinion of someone else.
Although,
go for it.
Something I did discover, I think back in 2007, his sister-in-law did run for the Senate on relaxing gun laws was one of the things.
Oh, my God.
And she was here.
Oh, my God.
I don't know if she still lives here.
No, don't.
Maybe I should.
I'm changing my name.
Mine's Smith.
Yeah, Mike's Smith. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, your last name is Smith. You don't have to change much. That's hilarious. And then there was John Lynch. I mean, if we're going back quite a while ago, back to the 1800s, he was a convict on a farm in Berrima, and he was the original and most serious serial killer in Australia.
See, I didn't know this. I think we've whitewashed. I didn't learn that at Barrel Primary.
No, you wouldn't have learnt that. No, they wouldn't have told you about that awful man up in Berrima killing all those people. He killed a local farmer and his whole family, John Mulligan. Like, this is really, and that sounds like an important name, John Mulligan. He probably is. I haven't done my research.
No, don't know.
Lenny Lawson, who was a comic artist. He was. Remember this? He was the Lone Avenger. and he was a rapist and a murderer, and he killed and raped these young girls in Sydney and ran down here in the 60s, took a gun and held Skeggs in Mossvale hostage, and then a 15-year-old got shot.
Yeah, not great.
Not great. Not great.
That's a very little known part of our history as well.
Yeah, again,
so maybe we just that's it. Maybe we just whitewash over the bad bits.
Yeah, we're all we just keep telling ourselves that we live in the Hamptons. There are a number of people that have done runners or have come down here with big, shiny, happy plans that have just disintegrated. Can we talk about Silicon Highlands?
Yeah, let's talk about Silicon Highlands. That's a recent one, and it's been fascinating. So, guy called Peter Crown came down here recently. He bought the land. So, if you remember Hume Cole, that there was a big. They'd bought a lot of land.
They lots of land.
Yeah, and they planned to do so out sort of behind New Berrima towards and onto the freeway.
Yep.
And they'd planned to do coal mine here. Thankfully, that didn't go ahead. It was a big issue for the community.
Well, they fought that and they won.
Yeah, which is a
good weekend.
It went for years, and it was a great, a great outcome from what would have been a horrible thing for the Highlands. So Peter Crown bought that land, sold part of it really quickly, like several, I can't remember how many parcels of land, but it was, millions and millions of dollars. And then he had a grand vision, which he actually was putting to council as an unsolicited proposal this year, but it didn't go it got stopped before it sort of came to the council meeting. But basically he had a vision for it. He was calling it Silicon Highlands, and it was a university. It was going to be this tech campus. It was going to have...
There's a new private school, isn't there, as well?
Yeah, there was going to be a private school. It was going to have all of this stuff. And on the surface, wow, looks great. But if you understand where it was, there was no infrastructure.
But wasn't he planning to build it, the infrastructure?
Yeah, but he had no money to do it.
Well, we think he had no money, according to the Sydney Morning Herald.
Yeah. But I think that, great ideas, but he was taking massive risks, but really created this facade that looked very, very impressive.
Well, right? People are really good at that, and it's the Emperor's new clothes, right? We all buy into it and we go, oh, that's going to be amazing. That person's phenomenal. And then it all just falls apart. And it doesn't just happen in the Highlands, although I kind of feel like it happens a little bit more here than other places.
And why is that, do you think? Do you have a sense of it?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's that naivety again, or that trusting. In other words, is a lot of trust. Also, there's a lot of hope here, right? So there's a lot of hope. I mean, there's also a vast socioeconomic spectrum in the Highlands, from poverty through to wealth that you'll never be able to spend in your entire lifetime.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of hope here because as the region evolves and changes and the demographic changes, we want more things. So I know how excited everybody was by a pump track up in Renwick, right? Is that what it was? A pump track, a bike track. It's called a pump track.
Yeah.
Right? You look at me like you don't know. I don't know.
In Renwick, or are you talking about East Barrel?
Oh, maybe it was in East Barrel. I don't really know. I don't have kids. So, or a bike. And those kind of things, families want to put things that are different to, say, what I necessarily want.
Yeah.
So we get excited when things like, I know for sure that legit versus non-legit, I can tell you here and now, 3 Blue Ducks is happening in Burradoo. That is definitely happening. I've driven up there twice just to check it out, make sure it's being built properly. I'm very excited. Be first in line.
Although to that point, that's one of the really sad things is when there are a few of these non-legit things, I think it taints the other good stuff.
Yeah, it does.
And probably, being really honest, in the past, a number of really good projects or good ideas haven't actually got off the ground because we may have had a dysfunctional council in the past.
Can we talk about that? What happened to that regional art gallery above Lake Alexandria that I think Juliet Arkwright had put up?
Nunangula happened
instead. About that.
So, and that land's still there. I think also, you know, there's-
Maltings. Like, how many times have we been told what's happening? I mean,
I
finally
think
it
it's
is going to happen this
it's
time. But how
happening
many
now.
times have we been said, maltings is going to be something new. Maltings is going to be something
Yeah.
new. And then you
My
just get
whole
like,
life.
whatever.
Yeah,
Is
my
it going to
whole
happen?
life.
I doubt it, you know?
Yeah, and I think people get cynical.
Cynical, but also hopeful.
But
Because
I-
that's why when you see Silicon Highlands, you go, oh, yeah, awesome. That's going to be
Yeah,
great. We're
yeah.
all going to make some money. There's going to be
Yeah.
people down here. There's going to be jobs for people.
Yeah.
There's going to be more employment. There might even be more housing.
And I think the awful thing is when local people get burnt. That's what's really upsetting. And I think that that's where it's really bad. Like, I don't have a problem with people having grand ideas and taking risks and coming up with stuff. It's when they burn the small people.
If they take the money and run.
Yeah.
Right.
Or they get people doing stuff and never pay them.
Lyndon Toll. He was a Bowral person for a
Yeah.
long time. I think he was
Yeah.
actually in an office opposite me when I was at the office in Bowral.
Yeah. So Lyndon had Apricity Finance, and it was a business that was kind of like payday lending, but for businesses. So they'd buy the invoice.
Right.
And say you had an invoice, say, for 10 grand.
Right.
They would say, all right, we'll give you, I don't know the amount, like
Yeah.
8 grand, 9 grand, and we'll take the cut.
But
And-
they'll do the chasing for the money. Is that right?
yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
But then he had investors in that.
Right.
So he had people investing in that business.
Right.
And unfortunately, it just wasn't making any money. And he's been arrested and for owing people $50 million.
These guys have all made the news.
Yeah.
Things have changed in the last 10 years in news, though. What was in
Yeah.
the news for crime in the Highlands in
Oh,
2015?
my
You found
goodness.
it, Corker.
Oh my goodness. So I remember when we first came back here and some absolute beauties in the local paper, one of which was about a man who in Yarrambull who had parked his ute with a trailer on it in his driveway, got up the next morning and discovered that the ute was no longer coupled to the trailer wasn't coupled to the ute, but the safety chain was still on.
Okay.
And that was the police report that people should be careful. And it's like,
No, didn't they have to be on alert, vigilant,
That's
vigilant
right.
for trailer stealers?
I
Had
know.
the trailer been stolen, or
no,
the thing got
it was
tight?
still on the
Oh my
safety
goodness!
chain.
And that made the news.
There is an article I can show you. And then another one.
Call on a mobile phone, I think it was, or something.
Yeah, someone on a
Driving.
mobile phone speaking to their chiropractor.
Oh my gosh! Right.
And then the other beautiful one, I think, from 2015, so
Yeah.
only 10
10
years
years
ago,
ago.
and this is in the printed paper,
Yeah.
was that someone had left his car and then discovered that he'd seen some kids, I think this was in Moss Vale, saw some kids running away. His car had been ransacked, in inverted commas, and a wallet, not with money,
Right.
with CDs.
Yeah. Oh, the CD wallet. Remember them? The
CD
flipping
wallet.
CD wallet you flip past. Yeah.
CD wallet and some lollies had been stolen.
Lollies. Oh my gosh. Nowadays, 10 years later, you have to have $50,000 cash, have sold 500 grams of cocaine or kilos of cocaine and been at the barrel trying to push it onto people. Barrel pub. And that'll get you in the news. What was that called? Summertown.
I don't know. What did they call it?
They called it, there was a Operation Summertown, which made me laugh
right.
because
It's
it
not
wasn't
summertime.
summer, number one.
This
and it
is
sounds
not
like Summer
summertime.
Bay, right? And I shouldn't laugh because 4 people's lives by just really stupid choices have been
Yeah.
impacted for a very long time.
Yeah.
And a lot of us have worked or been served by or dealt with,
Yeah.
with at least 1 or 2 of those 4 people. And it's gut-wrenching. You just go,
know.
seriously? They could be
Well,
in jail
and
for
they've
16
got
years
families
for that. And they've got
and
families
parents
and really good families too. And like
Yeah.
really great people. And,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to go to the court case and stand
Well,
up
do
for
you
them?
know what?
I don't know. What do you do?
I got
Because that
called
just seems
up.
wrong.
I got a letter for jury duty
Oh, did you?
yesterday.
Oh, my God. How are you going to get out of that?
I don't know.
Now you've said it. You can't get out of it. You're going to have to go.
No, well, it's for the next year. I may
okay.
get called up or not at
Oh, yeah,
some
but if you
point.
get called up on dates that you can't do, you just say, I can't do them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
Or you get a letter from the
Okay.
psychiatrist.
Or else it'd be fascinating.
Yeah,
Could
but
be
you never
interesting.
you never get those like murder ones or the
right.
It's never
Okay.
CSIA barrel. It's always there's even CSI. We should talk about all those other people that have run out of town. And as we've said before, is it bad business? And is it hard to keep a business sustainable here, like Biota or Officino?
Yeah.
And is it hard to keep them? Is it hard to sustain a business here?
I think, Bistro Officina, because it's called something else now, isn't it?
It's Bistro Social now. It's a different chefs, different everything. Yeah.
Because, I think with those things, often though, particularly in hospitality, and obviously that's one of our passion subjects.
Yeah.
But with hospitality, I think it's not necessarily people being dodgy. I think it's often, I think hospitality is really hard because look at Sydney, same deal.
Same deal.
Restaurants closing all the time.
And the shame that comes around, the shame you feel around your business not working.
Yeah.
And sometimes, it's fight or flight. You're in your adrenaline's going, you're in fight or flight response. Some people flee, and that's why they can't dealing with their staff.
Yeah, and I think that really is it. I think that's the saddest thing. Like something like, oh my goodness, like Chris, my husband, loved Bistro Officina. He nearly cried when that closed. And you just think Nicola was really talented. He's a talented chef, and obviously great at what he did, but not great at running a business.
I just think hospitality is really hard down here, but we've got a whole episode coming up on that.
We won't go
and
there.
It is really hard down here. And a lot of these things are business situations. What's going on with the King Charles?
Hillview.
Yep.
Hillview. So, as I mentioned before, Hillview's the former governor's residence at Sutton Forest. Great news is King's Foundation has taken that on. So that's as in King Charles. I was going to say Prince, King Charles.
It might be Prince, but the Prince might be King by the time this gets to air because we're taking so long to get these episodes done. Anyway, go on.
That's right. So really exciting because they plan to do stuff there like Dumfries House in the UK. So it will be about trades, it will be about regenerating the landscape, all of that. So sounds fantastic. But prior to that, Damien had a 40-year, 99-year lease, something like that, on because it was left.
So he owned it, this guy Damien?
No. So it's not owned by National Trust. It was, I think, because it was a government building, right?
And
so the state owns it.
So to put it into context, if you've driven towards Southern Highlands Winery, which no longer exists, sadly.
So Illawarra Highway on
the left-hand side.
From Mossvale
to Sutton Forest. And it has all of those giant sculptures. And they have those two vagina sculptures there for a little while. I was like, oh, my God. But it's forever changing sculptures. Yeah.
Well, and here's another great thing that was happening.
Sculptures in the Highlands.
Yeah.
Like sculptures by the sea.
Yeah. So it was, so at Hillview, really great thing. And I was actually involved in it for a while around having this Sculpture Awards, Sculpture Festival, which was great.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the person who was custodian of Hillview I don't know, thought he could do everything himself. He did burn people, another person. I mean, a good way to tell if people are good or not around here is actually ask one of the tradies.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
They know.
Yep.
Because you just have a little quiet word and go, is this person kosher or not?
Yeah, because we have to be a little careful. Okay.
Well,
you're saying it, not me. So I don't want the royal family coming down on me.
No, it's not linked to the royal family.
All right.
But he actually took the government to court because he had an agreement, and this is something you can look up.
Yep.
He had an agreement and a lease, whereas part of that very small lease, he was able to have this incredible property. He was meant to have it open to the public for a certain amount of time each year, had to keep it, like upkeep everything. And big old places are hard. Like, I'm not saying it's easy. I know what it's like. They're expensive, they're hard, they're difficult to run. But state government wasn't happy. He wasn't keeping it to the level and keeping up to his agreement. And I think there were some gaps in the agreement, and he took them to court. And
he lost.
No, he won.
Oh.
And so he kept it. So this is probably about, I don't know, 15 years ago,
Right.
20, and he took them to court and he won. And so he was able to stay on there. But then I think in the end it got too much. And so 18 months ago, year ago, he gave up the lease. And so I'm not sure if King's Foundation have actually bought it or whether they've taken on the long-term lease. But
But they are doing something. The
they are
King's
doing
Foundation are
something,
doing
and
something
I
amazing,
think it will be very worthy of that property, and I think it'll be fantastic for the Highlands on a range of levels, because it's not just about. I really don't love when an old place is museum-like,
No.
whereas this is about bringing it to
Utilise
life.
it. Utilise it. Yeah, actively utilise it.
So that's exciting.
I mean, there are some exciting things about, a lot of people of recent days or recent months, some people are starting to see Bowral as a testing ground. Now, admittedly, they are Kiwis that are seeing Bowral as a testing ground. Sorry, guys. But I found it interesting.
Much, so they don't know.
I found it interesting that Wilson and Dorset, I was in Wanaka a couple of years ago, and Mans, who owns Wilson and Dorset, it wasn't even her I was talking to, someone else. They said, we're opening our first international store. I said, I'm so excited. Where? And they went, someplace called Boral. And I'm like, no, that's the concrete. Bowral. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. And then, of course, they've opened on Bong Bong Street, and they've slowly used it as an HQ, really, to get their brand out amongst the Australian landscape. And then the other one is Angel Divine, that's just opened this week in High Street. Well, I don't know this week because, again, this episode may not go to air until God knows when. Maybe a year ago they opened. Anyway, and they're actually from Queenstown originally and Arrowtown, and they chose Bowral as their first testing ground.
I've always really thought, wouldn't it be great if we could encourage more of that?
Yeah.
So as far as in our retail space, our hospitality
We become
space.
like a startup place.
Yes.
A startup place for hospitality and retail.
Hospitality, retail, fashion. Like, oh my goodness. It would be so great, because I think this is the point. We want to support entrepreneurial people.
100%.
And we want to support different things.
100%.
And then I think the awful thing is, this is what upsets me deeply, when dodgy people come here and they're faking it and they take decent people's money.
Or they take grants. They take government grants. They take grants from council. They take grants from government. They take grants from state or
Sadly,
federal.
there's a lot of examples
and then
of that.
It just disappears.
And I think also, there have been festivals and events like that where that sort of thing's happened, and you have a lot of vendors or people involved who are local producers or whatever. They have to spend all this money, take all this time to be there for a few days, and it costs them money, and they get exhausted and they think, well, why bother? I'm not going to do it again.
But you have to bother, I tell you, because your first year of any festival is going to be the hardest year.
Yeah.
Right? And some years, some festivals don't work, some festivals do work. And they're not even festivals, any event really.
Yeah.
Any event that you get money for. It's just that it's very hard in a regional area when you're asking locals to foot the bill for their businesses to be exposed within those areas. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Tulip Time and people going, what's with all the vendors inside Tulip Time now? Plus you're charging us $20 to get, well, not us because we're residents, but $20 to get in. And now there's 1,000 tents, and that no one's going into the local street anymore to get a coffee or shop. So basically most retailers are like, well, Tulip Time doesn't work for us.
Well, and I mean, look, Tulip Time is something that I think will be reviewed along with a range of things.
You heard that here first, exclusive. Council exclusive. Again, probably has already been reviewed by the time we get this episode to air. But yeah.
I think it will. No, it will be reviewed. But I think that Tulip Time's always been... Its origins were actually really lovely because it's a bit surreal, really. We have one small little park with lots of tulips in it.
It's very pretty.
Yeah,
it.
I'm not saying it's bad, but I think, and we may have touched on this before, I think there's an opportunity. We have so many amazing old gardens or new gardens here. We have people who love your garden.
No one wants to come to my garden. Trust me. I'm at Welby every day asking for surgery for my garden. Yeah.
But I think that it would be great to take a fresh and creative approach to that and extend it beyond one park.
Yeah. So Tulip Street. Tulip Streets.
No, it's about, it used to have the open garden scheme with
There
it.
is an open garden. There is an open garden thing here every quarter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and
it
it's
was
4
more
different
aligned.
gardens
It was
each time.
Open garden thing was run by the Rotary Club, which if you watch the Four Corners episode, you'll see some of the founding members of the Rotary Club. Who,
My dad was a member of the Rotary Club.
But I think back to your point, what do we do? Like, what do we want the Highlands to be? What is the brand Highlands really? Because we've been talking about that. Like, there's this perception versus reality. I personally think one of the most beautiful things is, and we were talking about it before, I love the idea that people can be incredibly successful.
Yep.
Albeit in business, in, acting, in music, art, whatever it might be, and walk down the street, go to Welby Nursery, go wherever.
No one knows who you are.
And no one knows or cares.
Well, no one knows who I was anyway, but that's all right. Yeah.
And that, I love that sort of more egalitarian sense of you're here because you want to be here and you don't want shiny attention,
But we do
else.
want people like Julian, who has Franquette, who's opening Lucette, because they have fantastic branding. They are very aware of how they look on the street. It's very much about town planning, about how it looks.
But that's about quality also.
That is quality. So we want quality. We don't just
Yeah.
want dregs. We want quality.
No, I'm saying...
do we? I don't know.
Well, no,
I
I
might
think...
have dreg every now and again, to be honest. But I looked like a dreg this morning when I woke up. So anyway, look, we've all got 1,000 skeletons in our closet. I mean, God, please don't open the doors to mine, because I know we'll be here for episodes over that one. And I'll have to, like, what is it when you're Catholic and you throw things on the back of your back? What's that called? Self-flagellation or something.
Yes.
Anyway,
let's not
I'm sure
do
you
that.
don't have any skeletons in your closet, because they would have been revealed during your campaign to be
it's my
on
husband
council.
who's got them.
I know your husband's skeletons. I've seen them. But really, I don't know if we've solved any problems, but
No.
I think that we've certainly looked at whether should we remain. I think despite all these Ponzi schemes and people taking our money and people all that stuff, that we should still remain open.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I was saying before, I don't want to be cynical and nasty. I still want to be welcoming of people. I still want
absolutely.
I want to meet new people. I don't want to just have the same friend. I'm not dropping you anyway.
Oh, okay, thanks. It's all right. It's all good. Because the whole thing is, I think some people used to be, or it used to be in small towns, that it was prove to me why I should trust you.
Yeah.
And I actually think it should be the opposite. It should be I trust you automatically until otherwise.
Yeah.
Until
and
you show
I
me
think
otherwise.
go with your instincts as well.
Yeah, bad juju.
But I do think we need to celebrate more of the what is the new, more of the experimentation, and entrepreneurship.
And outside of Bowral. Like move it. Like let's go
you're
to
moving
Mittagong.
outside
Let's
of
go to
Bowral now.
Mossvale. Let's go to Berrimah. Let's go to Fundadoon. Let's go to Valangala. No, let's not go there. Let's go. Let's go up to Hilltop and Collivale and all of those places, because there's so much going on that we haven't. Most people don't even time. I mean, I went to a seedling place the other day, which everybody probably knows about. I didn't even know that this area existed.
Yeah.
Gorgeous little seedlings. It was. I wish I remembered the name of it. I'd drop in a little plug for them. I'm going to take you, and I'm going to take you somewhere that you, local, born and bred, almost born, or definitely bred, have not been to. Thank you so much for listening to our latest episode. God knows when you're listening to it or where. Hopefully it was in the next week or so. If not, we'll see you in 2030.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks for listening to the So Highlands podcast. If you like what you hear, be sure to review and subscribe via your favourite podcast platform, like @So Highlands Pod on Instagram and @So Highlands on Facebook and YouTube.